cash crisis. We're talking about Venezuela once again.
Systemic important banks. They removed the 1,000 on their called monetary awareness. All right, we are live for a aftermarket news wrap up. Lots of stories developing. Wanted to connect and check in for a quick minute, share with you some interesting headlines that caught my attention. Thought it might be of interest to you as well, and definitely looking forward to getting your thoughts and viewpoints on it. We'll definitely check in later on tonight for an RTD Live Talk, the People's Talk Show. But in the meantime, things are heating up severely. There's more stories than I can actually get to in a day. And so that's why I decided to gather 6-7 primary stories, share my 2 cents on, and get your take as well. So we will dive in. So for those that might be new to the community, welcome. My name is Mike, the host of RTD, Rethinking a Dollar. And definitely looking forward to sharing my thoughts and analysis on what's happening. And just scan through the headlines, give you something to chew on, and let you guys do the rest for yourself. But, things are becoming very interesting, to say the least. There's never a dull moment in trying to navigate and understand these interesting times we're living in. And so just right here itself, I have a lot of things to touch on. We got Sri Lanka, we got the Gazprom, we got Sasol, we got the China, Taiwan, we got the heat crises in the UK and throughout Spain and France. So lots of things developing. And it all has to do with the deliberate attempt to withhold, limit, and to restrict the future use of energy and how it will be rationed out at some point in the near future. And what better way to destabilize things other than to have all these natural events occurring at the same time. You know, nothing is by coincidence. Everything is intentional, and it's just becoming more things to talk about, man. But anyway, let me dive right in. I want to welcome anybody to the community. Welcome, as I mentioned before. I want to make sure if you're interested in getting plugged in, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification. Hopefully you are tuned in. And also there's all types of alternative media outlets beneath this video here inside the tab, which I'm about to go to right here. And this is the primary medium for you guys to connect. For those that are new, want to make sure I encourage everyone to take advantage of the extremely low prices and getting your weight up. And so I partner with Bullion Max here to be able to put 5 ounces in your hands if you're interested. Link is below. And also RTD locals. I got more news on information and lack thereof to the crackdown coming in social media. So as time moves forward, everybody will be forced to look for alternatives. And so definitely going to do a little live stream tonight after we follow up. So encourage you guys to subscribe. Link is below. And also, if you guys are interested in supporting the channel via some type of donation, your help is appreciated. Information below, as well as all the other free resources where you guys can take advantage of just the things I've put together over the last couple of years in a short and concise way to make sure everybody stays plugged in. So that's what's there. Let's just jump right in. Very first story. Russia gas holds a key to the euro as the energy crisis weighs on Europe's economy and the currency. And this is from over the weekend, but it plays into today's announcements coming out from the East in reference to the force majeure or the deliberate canceling of contracts due to godlike events from what the world's being told. But yet, of course, it's all about the deliberate attack on the Russian economy with the sanctions. There's no way in the world you can deliberately try to cut a country off from being able to access their capital and there not be some consequences. And of course, the left, right, is all in cahoots together to execute this agenda, which is to just destabilize humanity and take us towards this dystopian society that they have for us. But just a picture itself showing Russia, Putin's smirking it couldn't get any better than this. But anyway, let's get to the primary subject matter. Refinery shutdown due to a lack of crude. So this one here is out of South Africa. And I'll jump right into the next story here. So Sasol outage means all South African oil refineries are now shut, rather. It says NAFRO plant shutdown prompts Sasol to declare a force majeure. Temporary closures adds to a string of oil refinery shutdowns. So this is out of South Africa. They produce 108,000 barrels a day from the plant. Was forced to shut down after oil shipment. The company said in a statement, Sasol Oil will not be in a position to fully meet its commitments on the supply of all petroleum products from July moving forward until further notice. And well before now, there's been a deliberate shutting down of refineries throughout the Asian continent And this one here is a pretty big one, given the fact that the daisy chain of events that will continue to spiral out of control will definitely hurt the African continent as well as everywhere else they were shipping. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then the most notable one happens to be Gazprom. And so I've seen a lot of commentators talk about this. And, there's 2 cancellations of contracts announced today. And so Russia is just played upon prior announcements of the deliberate withholding of energy from Gazprom. And this one here looks like it might be more permanent or to be determined. But as of now, there's nothing coming through those pipelines. And so it says Russia's Gazprom tells European buyers it cannot guarantee gas supplies. And there's more details of this, but it's actually they cut down back in June, and it's becoming effective as of now. And the excuse from this article here is that some parts from Canada in the form of some turbines that was meant to help with the gas stream pipeline was supposed to be delivered to Germany. And then from there, somehow, some way connected to help the energy flow as usual. But yet they're talking about due to the delay of the turbine, that's a reason why. But the article here talked about well before now, there was a slowdown of energy coming from Gazprom in Russia. And so they're just using this as an excuse as to why they are, they have to, basically cancel the contract. And so once again, as I mentioned before, you can't sanction a country and expect them to operate normally as if everything is all fine and good. So it's going to be a mighty cold winter in Europe, barring some type of unforeseen events in reference to them being able to supply and make up for the lack of energy coming from Russia. And then here is why, and here's more of what will probably happen. It says Germany leaves the door open for extending nuclear power use amid energy crisis. And so it looks like the desire to go green or go to all renewable energy is coming back to bite Europe and the globalists in the behind, because you cannot just all of a sudden cut off all the carbon emitting energy sources and expect things to go smoothly. At the same time, you're sanctioning one of the primary distributors of energy to Europe. So nuclear power plants coming back on will definitely be a good thing, because it should make things more affordable for people in Europe. And I think this might catch on, and more nations might jump on board and decide to, just jump off board with the globalist agenda towards going to net zero by 2030 or whatever the agenda is. So, but, they're going to fire up the nuclear power plants again, which once again, it's a viable option. It's been there all along. And so why not use it? And on to more stories here. Over the weekend, Russia imposes a ban on paying for things with crypto or NFTs. So there's been back and forth between the Russian central bank as well as Russian government there as to whether they'll let cryptos ride or whether they wouldn't. And so as of right now, it looks like Putin has officially made it so that outside of having a legal framework set up for a Russian central bank coin as well as Russian approved stable coins, which of course there's an article coming out today about I think it's a platinum or palladium stable coin coming out, which is approved through the pipelines of the Russian central bank there. So we'll see. But real quick, it says Russian Vladimir Putin signed into law a ban on all digital payments in the country, a far-reaching move that heralds a shift in how cryptocurrencies and blockchain-based payments are carried out in the country. So looks like crypto is not getting the type of bid that people would like to see in Russia, but it will go on, just will not be considered a legal tender, and we'll see what happens from that. And on to more interesting stories. Sri Lanka, over the weekend, presidents trying to flee, and they declared a national emergency. And so they're going to go through some type of presidential elections this upcoming week. And so the interim president has declared an emergency amid protests, because obviously people are struggling and suffering. And so they're taken to the streets and they're wanting change. But the primary politicians in power, their concern is that the people may not be willing to accept the change that's given to them, whether whether they're for the new president coming in or not. They want to strike that down before it becomes a problem. And so once again, we're going to hear more stories from Sri Lanka as well as other countries. There's an article today circulating about how there's protests and uprisings, I think in Panama, as well as a few other nations. So we will hear more countries and the issues they're facing definitely throughout the summer and head into the fall, especially in the northern hemisphere as winter comes around, come fall, winter. It's going to be lots of stories unfolding. Keep it moving. And then here's something. The U.S. approves $108 million in military aid to Taiwan amid tensions with China. And so, of course, we know U.S. is backing Taiwan as a free and independent country, but yet China thinks that's not the case. So there's going to be some type of standoff, if not some type of event coming soon, just because after this was announced today, China came out and says China urges U.S. to immediately cancel sale of arms worth $108 million to Taiwan. And so a lot of the spokesmen from China is coming out expressing their displeasure. And then here's an interesting statement here. It says, further, the Chinese government also warned the U.S., quote, not to play with fire on the Taiwan issue. So if the U.S. keep pressing the buttons, eventually there will be a response and it will never be favorable. And my suspicion is that this prolonged back and forth between Taiwan and the U.S., as well as Russia with the sanctions and things like that, and Ukraine, it all buys Russia and China more time to be able to unload their dollar treasury debt liability holdings so that they're not stuck completely out of luck when it comes to not being able to get the most bang for their buck with their dollar liability. So they're basically trying to speed up this de-dollarization process. So they're buying time or being given some time with all this public back and forth, which is just all paper charades at the end of the day. Anyway, next story here. This is something I think we'll hear more about whether we want to or not. Marburg virus, as the World Health Organization declares outbreak in Ghana. So if it's not one thing, it's another. And of course, what better way to keep people in fear and to get people back into the entrapment of needing to wear masks to stop things such as this. But from the continent of Africa, whether it's induced by those things or not, who knows? But it's more things to cause concern for the people who are already been hypnotized and thinking that the health is the primary focal point for everything they should pay attention to. So, but we will hear more about this, if not something else in reference to health. So it's unfortunate that along the way, continent of Africa has always been a test bed for things like this, but it is what it is. And hopefully more people are waking up. But also I saw an article mention how right now Africa is the least participated population on the earth. And therefore, a lot of people, the powers that be, are not too happy with that. And so they're going to find new ways to force people to put things in their bodies, such as the things that probably cause the problems in and of themselves. But anyway, last story here. Wildfires. And so things are definitely heating up, literally speaking. Wildfires rage in France and Spain amid heat wave while the UK faces its hottest day ever. Weather manipulation, not sure, call it what you want, but nothing is by accident at this current moment. And when I see things like this, that's going to equal more crop burnings, more fire, more drought, more hunger, more starvation. So once again, I could go far left field, put my tinfoil hat on here, but there's weapons out there that definitely make things like this possible, to say the least. So, but I'm curious to get thoughts on what's happening out there for my people in the UK with the heat and things like that. And on to another one. This is just more of the same here. I'll spare you guys that. But anyway, lots of stories happening right now. There's never a dull moment in this global transition out of the old and into the new, whatever the new might be. And once again, the energy crisis will continue to increase, and it's just a matter of time before the same stories we're talking about was happening in Europe as well as in Africa and everywhere else makes its way here, because we've seen all types of oil refineries and mysterious fires happening, and with food processing plants, energy processing, you name it. Everything that has been the bed hubs for the dispersing of energy, food, and everything of that nature has been knocked out one by one. Of course, there's a lot more, but once again, this is a long-term plan. And so what we're experiencing now is just within the last 2 years. And so one thing we should take from all this is that note that nothing is guaranteed tomorrow. And while you're able to, and you're aware of what's happening, do the best you can to continue to educate yourself and learn about things. And then also how to lessen your dependency on things as best as you can, knowing that, change is underway and things are happening mighty fast. But anyway, going to be come back tonight, 9 p.m. Check in. If you're new, definitely hit that subscribe button and check back in with us. I'll do some phone calls, and then we're going to head over to the RT locals and do some more chit chat there, have more uncensored, more free scripted talk. And just want to make sure I'm diversified. Can't just focus on one particular channel here just because, nothing's guaranteed in this world of mis and disinformation that's being thrown down our throat. But anyway, appreciate you. I want to acknowledge this super chat, James. Been watching your channel for a while now. Keep up the great info you are facing in food and gas shortages. I don't see it yet. When will we see it? James, be grateful that it's not on your doorstep. But yet, then again, these stories here are basically focused on things that's happening all around us. And as long as we have the current reserve currency, we are spared from some of these events in the immediate term. But I do believe if they, meaning the orchestrator of this entire experience, have their way, it's going to be in our future. And not how far along, who knows, but I don't want to play around with it. So I'm taking advantage to get as much of things as I can. But once again, you can't be completely shielded from this. But be grateful that there's no gas shortages, that there's no food shortages. But, not every country can say that. So I noticed a lot of people, when it comes to precious metals in particular, I'm going to continue to chime on that just because people are saying that, gold and silver is not being a good hedge. And I'm looking at prices as of today. And it doesn't look, like the stereotypical hedge. But then again, don't just price it in dollars. Look at other currencies, the currencies that are having the hardest times right now. Look at the prices of metals in those currencies. You'll see a much different story. So be grateful that if you are in a position where you're not witnessing nothing, everything is hunky-dory in your neck of the woods, that's great. And just continue to pray that it remains that way. But then again, things are changing. You never know when something can all of a sudden just flip like that. So, but anyway, that's just more things to be grateful for. But be blessed, be safe. Back at it tonight, and I will see you guys later. Shalom.
The next recession.
Recession will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months.
A crash is coming. Now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
If you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.